today Trump has unleashed unprecedented and unparalleled tariff and territorial tyranny from the Oval Office. In Davos today, he justified his actions. He bragged that he was making America great again, and only he could do this by adopting these postures. But while he threatens and intimidates with his unconventional and disruptive bullying, do any of his actions pass the legal smell test? Will the US Supreme Court stand in Trump's corner? And can the Congress halt his adventurism? I'm talking about the US Congress. That's the question we're asking of Don Graves, US former Commerce Secretary under Biden, and also one of the United States' foremost lawyers. Don Graves, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Do Trump's tariffs actually stand up in court? Are these tariff threats firmly backed by US law, or are they being stretched to the breaking point? Is the Supreme Court going to quash them?
Well, my personal take is that the Supreme Court, in their ruling, which we expect any day now, will actually reverse the president's ability to impose these tariffs. It's clearly above and beyond the delegation that Congress has provided to the president under IEPA, one of our laws. And I think that they will find that he has gone too far, that the definition that gives him the ability to impose tariffs of an emergency does not exist in this case, and that they will reverse it, and he will end up having to pay back refunds to all of those companies from whom he's withheld these tariffs.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but are you suggesting that these emergency powers are not robust and courts could actually strike them down? The Supreme Court could actually strike them down?
That's correct. The delegation of authority that Congress has given to the president for imposing these tariffs and engaging in trade, Congress usually controls all the power of trade, but in this case, they've given a very specific delegation of their authority only for national emergencies, for national security issues, for exigencies such as war. The type of examples that the current administration is using to abuse that power doesn't pass the smell test. It doesn't actually add up. I believe that the Supreme Court, as lower courts have ruled, will find that such a delegation from Congress wasn't actually permitted for these types of examples. And in fact, the administration, even Secretary Bessent, hasn't been able to come up with a good example. He spoke just over the weekend about, we're using, the emergency is that we're trying to prevent an emergency.
Right.
That's not a good, it doesn't pass the legal test, and I think Supreme Court will reverse that power.
But I'm a little confused, and forgive me, because I thought that the Supreme Court, majority of the judges have been appointed by Donald Trump. Now, how can a judiciary appointed by Trump turn suddenly skeptical and take a dim view of what he's doing? Is the judiciary turning skeptical? Could it? Is it possible?
I think that all of us are, many of us are worried, but at the end of the day, they are jurists. They are judges who've sworn an oath to the Constitution of the United States to uphold the law, and I think that if they follow jurisprudence, if they follow the law, if they read it as they often do, which is a very strict reading of the laws themselves, the legislation, I think they will have no choice but to find a ruling against the presidential power in this instance. I do think that they will do their best, at least the conservative judges on the court, to have a relatively narrow ruling, so that they may not say that presidents don't have any power to impose these types of tariffs, but they'll focus specifically on the cases in front of us right now, the imposition of these wide range of tariffs across across the world and with partners and allies with whom we don't have any type of emergency.
Well, you referred to the Congress. Where is the Congress, the U.S. Congress in all of this? The equivalent of Parliament. He wants to push a bill that will ramp up hefty tariffs across the world, including on India. What's up in Congress? What's happening there?
I think that Congress is finally waking up to the reality of what this administration is doing. Congress is recognizing the actions and the statements the president has taken over the last few weeks with the violation of the sovereignty of a foreign nation by going in and deposing the president of Venezuela, regardless of what you think of the president of Venezuela. And I think there are really troubling issues with Maduro. The violation of the sanctity and the sovereignty of a nation is a problem. And I think President Trump's rhetoric around Greenland is also causing some real concerns by Congress. All of that is adding up to, I think, pushback from Congress in a way that that Trump has not seen over the course of the last year or in his first term. So I do think that that the U.S. Congress is beginning to stiffen its back, and I think that he's going to have a much harder time getting legislation such as this trade and tariff legislation passed, because people don't believe that that he's acting in good faith or necessarily with the best interests of the American people or the country in mind.
Okay, so if tomorrow the Supreme Court strikes down these tariffs, the Congress blocks the bill, can tariffs then backfire on America? Do they open the U.S. to lawsuits, trade disputes, and legal trouble also at home?
I think it's a massive problem certainly for the president, but for the country as a whole and for the American people. We already are seeing lawsuits by American companies, by American taxpayers over these actions. I think that there are also lawsuits by companies from other countries over these tariffs. I think if he continues to impose these, it opens the U.S. to a huge amount of legal problem, but maybe more importantly, it's the retribution, it's the reciprocity, the reciprocal tariffs that could be imposed that, in fact, the Prime Minister Modi has suggested. That's going to be the real problem that is felt hard by the American people. And in the end, as our prices continue to rise here in the U.S., as American companies have real trouble producing goods, in getting the types of inputs that we need, and the American consumer continues to have real problems getting access to great products that we find around the world, I think that is going to be the biggest issue for this administration. American consumer sentiment is already solidly against the president.
No. Let's play those other visuals.
People don't like the direction the country is going, and I think that he will feel it in the midterm elections.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to ask you a final question, but Director Saab, can we play the shots of Chandra asking Donald Trump those questions? That's an exclusive, and we must show that because it's the only channel in India that has those pictures. So let's prioritize those. Thank you very much. Let me come back to you. Sorry, sir. Can I ask you, what is this Trump tyranny, territorial and trade? What is all this doing to business confidence in America, sir? How do you describe the mood in business circles, Mr. Graves, in America?
I think that is certainly part of it. I think that there are also a number of people, including members of Congress with whom I've had conversations on both sides. I think that there are many across the country, business leaders, but also the American public, who feel that this breakdown in the rule of law, this breakdown in what had been the foundations of a prosperous and frankly a world order that was getting better for all people, not just the elite. I think that that is a real problem for millions of people in this country, and I think that's going to be a challenge for us, is to how to come back into the world as we have more rationality, as we act in more accordance to world order, the rule of law. That's going to be our problem in the long run, but it's a real issue for us right now.
Well, thank you, Don Graves. Don Graves, a top lawyer from the United States, former Commerce Secretary of the country. So somebody who's very, very clued up about this entire legality of what Trump is doing. Thank you very much for speaking to us. And viewers, what you're seeing on your screens is a CNN News 18 exclusive. It is also an exclusive to the network, to Money Control. My colleague Chandra Srikanth has been able to doorstep Donald Trump and ask him about the status of the Indo-US trade deal. And Donald Trump waxed eloquent about Prime Minister Modi, said he respects this fantastic man, which shows that obviously the Prime Minister continues to earn Trump's respect. This can't be said about a large number of global leaders who Trump treats with contempt because they have completely surrendered to Donald Trump. When you surrender to a bully, you lose respect, at least his respect or her respect. And in this case, it clearly is emblematic of the fact that the Prime Minister is somebody that Trump respects greatly. And he also told us, he also told Chandra Srikanth that we can expect some progress. We will have a good deal, he said. Let's just play out this interaction. Fascinating interaction, short, but saying quite a bit without saying a lot. Listen to this.
India, can you give us an update on the India-US trade deal?
First of all, I have great respect for your Prime Minister. He's a fantastic man and friend of mine. And we're going to have a good...
Srikanth from India, can you give us an update on the India-US trade deal?
First of all, I have great respect for your Prime Minister. He's a fantastic man and friend of mine. And we're going to have a good...
Srikanth from India.
Well, it's not easy, viewers. It's not easy to elicit a sound bite from Donald Trump. He is not the most patient, and he is also very dismissive. But here, clearly, he stops because he heard the word India. Chandra told us that she deliberately red flagged that word because he's very receptive to all things Indian. So he spun around, he spoke to her, and he said that he respects fantastic Prime Minister Modi, a great man, and he says, most importantly, that we're going to have a good deal soon. I'll leave it at this, viewers. A big network exclusive. Thanks for watching.